It all started on a Monday, 7:03 a.m. to be precise. I was on my porch sipping coffee that tasted exactly like the beginning of a long week when she appeared. Karen. She glided up my driveway in a pair of beige orthopedic sneakers that squeaked with every step, like tiny, guilty mice. In one hand, she held a decibel meter, probably bought with our homeowners association's petty cash. In the other, a smile so tight it could have sliced deli meat. She didn't even say hello. She just pointed the device at my hanging bamboo wind chimes, waited for a gentle breeze, and then announced, 94 cents flat on the minor third, unlawful dissonance. Then she slapped a citation on my birdbath with such force the concrete cracked. I half expected her own foundation of joy to crumble with it. The fine, $50 per day, until I achieved harmonic compliance. Apparently, my chimes were so off-key, they violated Covenant 9b. No sound shall offend sensitive ears. And by sensitive ears, she clearly meant her own, which seemed to be tuned exclusively to the frequency of petty grievances. I tried to be reasonable. I even hummed the chord for her, C major, the most harmless, porch-friendly key known to mankind. Karen just countered by humming in C sharp, a quarter-tone sharp, just to show she could. She then whipped out a laminated chart of approved tonalities, a list she'd clearly authored herself and printed at Office Depot, probably right next to the coupons for beige carpeting. My chimes, of course, were not on the list. When I asked for any scientific basis for this, she just pointed to her own ear. When I asked for a second opinion, she rotated her head like a barn owl and said, I have 2 ears. Well, checkmate, I guess. That night, I sat there, staring at the citation. The wind rattled the accused instruments, their bamboo tubes clinking together like the bars of a jail cell. These weren't just any chimes. They were a gift from my late grandfather, handmade. He could tune an instrument by ear better than a Stradivarius apprentice. And now, Karen had criminalized a memory. My options were simple. Surrender the chimes, pay her daily shakedown fee, or weaponize sound in a way her HOA handbook had never, ever imagined. I chose door number 3, the one that opens onto a hurricane siren. A little research was in order. My coastal town has a tsunami siren network. We're talking 154 decibel beasts mounted on telephone poles, tested every month and audible for miles. They blast a classic haunting wail, a 30-second rise, a 30-second fall repeated 3 times, and the key? D minor, the saddest of all keys, according to Spinal Tap. Karen, who hated minor thirds and once tried to ban a ukulele club for playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow in F sharp, would absolutely despise it. My plan was simple. If I could sync my chimes to that municipal wail, every breeze would trigger a harmony that was indistinguishable from the city's own safety protocol. She could find me for the wind, but she couldn't find the city for existing. First step, frequency mapping. I recorded the siren during its next monthly test, getting some nice, clean audio without any traffic noise. The spectrogram showed the dominant pitch sliding between 293 Hz, that's a D4, and 165 Hz, a D3. My bamboo tubes were currently hovering around 260 Hz. The fix was surprisingly simple. Trim 2 centimeters off the longest tube and drill a small side port to drop its fundamental note down to D3. I felt my grandpa's ghost wince a little, but revolutions require sacrifice. Second step, the mechanical trigger. I bought a Raspberry Pi Zero, a cheap $4 microphone, and a tiny 5-volt solenoid. The logic was this. If the microphone picked up audio that matched the siren's specific waveform, the solenoid would tap the wind clapper once, just enough to make it chime in perfect sync. I powered the whole contraption with a tiny solar panel, hidden neatly under the eave of my roof. The code name for the project? Karen Phony. It took me 2 nights and a minor existential crisis over whether Grandpa would haunt me for cyber-bambooing his gift, but eventually, the prototype worked. It chimed on cue when I played a YouTube video of the siren. Techno-wizardry achieved. Third step, the field test. The next monthly siren test was on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. sharp. I invited half the block over for what I called coffee and acoustics. As expected, Karen arrived early, her decibel meter freshly calibrated, ready to nail me for violating the city's quiet hours, even though the city itself was about to go full Baywatch. And then, at 10 d'across, it began. The municipal wail echoed through the town. Instantly, my chimes answered, note for note, a perfect D minor harmony soaring above the rooftops. Karen's meter jumped to 154 decibels, identical to the city's own siren. She just stared, her mouth forming a perfect O of utter defeat. The crowd of neighbors cheered. Mr. Ramirez from next door just shrugged, sipped his honey latte, and said, "Sounds official to me. Checkmate, but make it municipal." Of course, Karen filed a new complaint anyway. Resident Simulates Emergency Alert. The city clerk apparently laughed her right out of the lobby. My chimes only duplicated the siren during scheduled tests. Otherwise, they were just standard wind-powered D minor decor. There's no ordinance against harmonizing with public safety equipment. So, Karen pivoted. She claimed psychological distress, saying the minor chord triggered her vestibular discombobulation. She even presented a doctor's note, which she had written herself, on letterhead she'd created that morning. The HOA board tabled that motion under things that make us laugh. But the wind, it seemed, had tasted blood. Now, every breeze that blew through my yard carried a whisper of D minor, a constant, gentle reminder that nature, much like karma, loves a good bass drop. Karen tried everything. Earplugs, noise-canceling headphones, even a beige, sound-dampening beanie that made her head look like a depressed marshmallow. Nothing could block the phantom chord. She complained that the key followed her to yoga, to the mailbox, even into her dreams. She once woke up screaming, convinced her ceiling fan was singing Bob Marley in D minor. Close enough. When October rolled around and Halloween prep was in full swing, I decided to expand the concept. I added a second set of aluminum chimes tuned to the minor third harmony, mounted on a swivel that rotated to face Karen's house like a radar dish of passive aggression. I upgraded the solar panel and installed a battery, so now the solenoid could trigger the chimes even on windless nights. The result? Perfectly legal, beautifully cruel, random 2 a.m. chimes. Her porch cam footage showed her pacing on her lawn at 2:17 a.m., waving a Swiffer in the air like a crazed conductor trying to silence the sky. And then, the internet noticed. I uploaded a 10-hour loop of the sound, one gentle chime every 30 seconds, soaked in D minor reverb. The thumbnail was a picture of Karen's beanie-covered head photoshopped onto the body of a sad violinist. I titled it, "Karen Phony Wind Chimes, for Study, Sleep, and HOA Therapy." It hit 3 million views in a week. The comments were gold. "This cured my tinnitus. I play this at city council meetings." Eventually, Spotify picked it up for their official Sleep Sounds playlist. The track was named D minor for D minor. The reviews were incredible. Instant serotonin. Feels like justice. Karen tastes like ear candy. The revenue started trickling in, pennies per stream, but those pennies add up to more bamboo upgrades. Karen escalated to federal agencies. The FCC for unlicensed broadcast, the FAA for interference with drone peace, and for some reason, the Coast Guard for maritime confusion. Each one of them forwarded her complaint directly to the trash. Mr. Ramirez started using my loop as his business's hold music. The city's official Twitter account even tweeted a link with the caption, "Safety never sounded so serene." Karen's last formal motion to the HOA was to ban all wind. The board laughed so hard one member needed oxygen. Motion denied, 6-1. She was the one, obviously. Then she went home and probably Googled how to sue the wind. A month later, her house was listed for sale. The Zillow photo showed her in the background, flipping off my chimes with both hands. On her closing day, I gave the new buyers a housewarming gift, a matching set of D minor chimes, cedar-carved, hand-tuned, and HOA approved. They hung them up immediately. As for Karen, her new condo has strict rules against any musical ornaments. She'll be fine, at least until she discovers the building's HVAC system hums in the key of D. Nature always finds a way. The moral of the story? You can try to outlaw a chord, but you can't ban resonance. And never, ever find a guy whose grandfather taught him how to carve bamboo, because when the wind blows, justice has perfect pitch. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this little tale of harmonic justice, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Let me know in the comments what you think. See you next time.